If it's happening in professional wrestling, we're breaking it down. The matches, the moments, the rumors, and yes, even the hot takes. This is Pro Wrestling Focus. No nonsense, no wasted motion, just pure wrestling talk. Now, here's your host, Cody Springer.
What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Focus. And this is my review of WWE Night of Champions. Yes, we crowned a new king and queen of the ring. We also had the showdown between John Cena and CM Punk that ended in absolute chaos. But yeah, I'm going to review the show, and yeah, I don't know how you guys felt about Night of Champions, but as for myself, kind of disappointing show, if I'm going to be honest. Felt like it was mid at best. And I mean, if you enjoyed it, great. But if you hated the show, then I feel like you are justified in that way of thinking. But we're going to break it all down here. This is your review of WWE Night of Champions. All right, we'll start off with the first match of the night, the Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton, the King of the Ring finals, and this was a good match that should have been great. But let's talk about it. This was a match that on paper looked like a classic. Legacy versus legacy, history, emotion, stakes, a ticket to SummerSlam on the line. It should have hit different. But you know what? It didn't. Not for me. Let's break it down. Cody wins. He beats Randy Orton clean in the middle of the ring after an intense, story-driven battle. And now he's heading to SummerSlam to challenge John Cena for the WWE Championship. That's the destination we all expected. And yeah, the story checks out. Cody gets a shot at redemption, but the road to get there, a little bumpy. The match kicked off with some classic slow burn pacing. That's fine. I like a methodical build when it pays off. Orton tweaks his back on that superplex early on, and Cody zeroes in. Smart psychology, veteran stuff. But here's the thing. They milked that back injury a little too long. The pacing started dragging. It felt like we were crawling toward the bigger moments instead of building towards them. Now, there were some bright spots. Cody's offense looked sharp, especially that avalanche Cody cutter and the multiple crossroads. Orton hit a nice RKO and nearly went full Viper with the punt. But he hesitated. And that hesitation, that was the story right there. Orton's internal conflict. His respect for Cody, the shades of gray that are starting to define his character right now. And I gotta give credit, when Orton exposed that turnbuckle and tried the old school steel chair as a decoy trick, that was classic Randy. But Cody flipped the script and sent him into the steel. Clean, clever, and a solid way to finish it without going full heel for either guy. But still, something was missing. The crowd was hot. They were reacting to every finisher, every near fall, and the emotion, you could feel it. But this match never hit that next gear. It didn't feel epic. It didn't feel like a career-defining moment for either guy. Honestly, this match felt like it wanted to be a WrestleMania level classic, but it got stuck in second gear. And then there's the whole too many finishers kicked out of debate. I agree with it. When a guy takes multiple RKOs or multiple crossroads and just pops up, it kind of dulls the impact. These are supposed to be match enders, not transitional moves. Let's protect our finishers a little bit, yeah? So here's where I'm at. Cody Rhodes wins. He's heading to SummerSlam. That's the right call. But the match itself, 3 out of 5. Not bad, just not great. I expected more from two guys with this much history, this much skill, and this much storyline weight behind them. Maybe my expectations were too high, but when it's Cody versus Orton, I think I'm allowed to expect something special. The silver lining, the story keeps rolling. Cody gets Cena, Orton maybe starts slipping into darker territory. There's room for both guys to evolve coming out of this, and that's worth watching. But this match, yeah, it was fine. That's all. All right, let's talk about it. Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez, street fight. And let me just say it straight up. These two brought it. This was violence. This was attitude. This was physical storytelling done right. And in my opinion, match of the night. Period. Here's how it all went down. Raquel Rodriguez came in hot. She used her size, her power, and honestly, she looked like a woman on a mission. She beat the hell out of Ripley with that kendo stick. Trapped her in the ropes, swung for the fences. That wasn't just aggression. That was personal. But let's give credit where it's due. Rhea Ripley is different. She took it, she survived it, and then she turned it around. That belt whipping, brutal. That table spot with the top rope set up for the finish, awesome, but risky. Now, Roxanne Perez got involved as expected, but let's keep it real. She got handled quick. I was a little surprised by that. WWE kind of teased her as a factor, maybe to help swing things for Raquel, but Rhea made her look like a mosquito. One swat, done. So in that sense, the interference fell a little flat, but maybe that's the point. Here's what I loved about this match. It didn't try to be pretty. It didn't try to be epic. It just wanted to be ugly and painful. And that's what a street fight should be. Tables, belts, stairs, kendo sticks, everything looked snug. Everything felt earned. Even the pacing, which some people felt was slow at times. I thought it worked. These are two powerhouses, not high flyers. Let them slug it out. And then look, yeah, maybe the result was predictable. Of course Rhea was going to win. She has to reestablish herself as a top-tier threat. But even in defeat, Raquel looked like a monster. She looked like someone who can be a future Women's World Champion. If WWE is smart, they don't let this match be the end of her. They use this as a launch pad. So here's my final verdict. 4 out of 5. Match of the night. Rhea Ripley reminded everybody that she's one of the best in the world, and Raquel Rodriguez proved she belongs in that conversation too. It was violent, it was physical, and it felt like it mattered. Now the only question is, what's next for Rhea? If you ask me, we're setting up for Rhea to start clawing her way back to the Women's World Championship. After a win like this, I'd say she's already halfway there. All right, let's get into it. Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. You know what this was. Classic Sami Zayn storytelling. The underdog, the self-doubt, the psychological warfare. And at the end of the day, the man digs deep, finds the moment, and delivers the win. Let's rewind for a second. This match has been building for months. Kross has been in Sami's head, poking at the insecurity, calling him a failure, saying he'll never be a world champion unless he embraces the darkness. Classic Kross manipulation tactics. And you know what? They hit. That story had legs. It felt personal. Not just a match, but a clash of philosophies. Now, in the match itself, Cross came in looking dominant. And yeah, I know there's some noise online about his in-ring work being sloppy, or he refuses to take flat back bumps, but let me say it here. That's garbage. Cross looked fine. He played his role well, powerful, methodical, almost cold-blooded in how he dissected Sami. He controlled most of the match, and that's exactly what he was supposed to do. Meanwhile, Sami, resilience on full display. The crowd in Riyadh was fully behind him. You could feel it. Every time Cross looked like he was about to end it, the crowd just got louder, willing Sami to get back up, and he did again and again. And then boom, the Luva kick out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3, done. It was a feel-good moment, no doubt. Sami proving he can still win his way. No shortcuts, no tricks, just timing and heart. Now here's the thing. We knew this was the likely outcome. It was telegraphed. Cross being the epicenter of Sami's "You'll Never Be Champ" arc. Of course, Sami was winning. I think some fans wanted more for Cross, and I get that. Because here's my one critique. What's next for Cross? He loses here. He's been talking all this game about exposing Sami. So if that story's over, where does he go from now? He looks strong. He did his job well. But he needed something bigger coming out of this. WWE's got to figure that out. But as far as the match goes, it worked. The pacing wasn't breakneck, but it told a story. And not every match needs to be flips and 20 finishers. Sometimes it's about psychology, and that's where this match lived. I'm giving this a solid 3 out of 5. Good match, great crowd heat, kept the story moving for Sami, and it gave Cross a credible showing. It wasn't flashy, but it was effective. I just hope that WWE doesn't let Cross drift after this, because he's got something. He just needs the right direction. And for Sami Zayn, he just reminded everyone why he's still one of the best storytellers in the game. All right, up next, the United States Championship match, Solo Sikoa against Jacob Fatu. I had my expectations going in. I figured there would be some shenanigans, maybe a debut, maybe a reunion. But what we got, the screwing of Jacob Fatu, both in kayfabe and in real life. So let's run it down. The match starts off with Solo trying to slow the pace, trying to contain Fatu's energy. Didn't work. Fatu came in hot, 2 big sentons, an impaler, and a whole lot of that wild, high-impact Samoan style we know that he brings. Dude was cooking early. But then, surprise, surprise, interference city. JC Mateo kicks things off, distracting the ref like it's a full-time job. And then, hey, look who's back from injury, Tonga Loa. You remember him? The king of oops, that wasn't supposed to happen? Jokes aside, it's good to see him back. But yeah, he jumps in, gets involved. Now it's basically a 3-on-1 handicap match. And just when Fatu's fighting through it, just when it looks like he's going to overcome the numbers, boom, debut time. Out comes Aquilio. Except, nope, not anymore. Now he's Taylor Tonga. And listen, I'm all for name changes when they're cool or make sense, but Taylor Tonga? What are we doing here, WWE? I know he's the brother of Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga, but this sounds like an AI-generated New Japan Pro Wrestling parody name. Just like, what the actual fuck? Anyway, Taylor Tonga chokeslams Fatu through the announce table, and Solo hits the Samoan spike to win the U.S. title. Solo Sikoa is now your new United States champion, and yeah, this is his first singles title on the main roster. It's also the official coming out party for Bloodline 3.0. So here we are, Solo, JC Mateo, Tonga Loa, and Taylor Tonga. Call them what you want, the new Bloodline, the fake Bloodline, faction of convenience. This is the new squad. And I'm calling it right now. We're getting probably another Bloodline Civil War Part 2 at some point this year. Probably at Survivor Series or maybe even at SummerSlam. I'm talking Solo's crew versus Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, and yeah, Roman Reigns when he shows his face again. But here's where I start getting pissed off. This didn't help the United States title at all. Fatu won the belt at WrestleMania, had real momentum, was starting to build an aura, and now it's gone. He loses here, not even clean. He gets completely fucking screwed. And yeah, I know that was the point story-wise, but from a creative standpoint, it's just not it. They pulled the plug too early. Fatu didn't even really get to be the champ. And now the title is just a pawn in Bloodline chess. Did it set up the next chapter? Sure. Did I care for the match? Not really. Too much interference, too much formula, too little respect for what that title could mean. 2.5 out of 5 for me. It had its moments, and I get the bigger picture, but this wasn't a match. It was a setup. And while I love long-term storytelling, sometimes you gotta let the present breathe before you fast forward to the next thing. Jacob Fatu deserved better. That's the takeaway. All right, Asuka and Jade Cargill. Oh my god. Let's talk about what might have been the biggest letdown of Night of Champions. Jade Cargill versus Asuka in the Queen of the Ring final. Now, on paper, this should have slapped. You've got the hard-hitting veteran technician in Asuka going up against Jade Cargill, an absolute powerhouse with all the potential in the world. Instead, we got a rushed, clunky, disappointing mess that barely lasted over 8 damn minutes. Let's break it down. Asuka starts off strong like always, targeting the knee, crisp strikes, trying to chop Jade down and work her over. Then Jade powers back with the strength game, hitting that sit-out powerbomb and showing off the raw physicality that she's known for. At one point, Asuka locks in the Asuka lock, and I'm thinking, here we go. Maybe they'll actually go all in with a great finish, but nope. Jade escapes, catching Asuka in the midair during an Empress Impact attempt, and hits the Jaded to end it. Boom, just like that. Queen Jade Cargill. And listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This match was awful. The chemistry wasn't there. The pacing was all over the place. The finish was sloppy as hell. And the whole thing felt like they were told backstage, like, hey, keep it under 10 minutes. We're short on time. And you could feel it. You could see it. This was supposed to be a big time star-making moment. But instead it felt like it got phoned in. Let's talk about fan reaction. Not great. The crowd in Riyadh, they weren't into it. They were hot for Asuka, and Jade's win got zero pop. Like, actual nothing. Maybe even a few boos. I don't blame them. Asuka carried this match. Made Jade look better than what she was, but still ended up taking the pin in a flat finish. And the internet, they tore this apart. Fans called it forced, botchy, predictable, and flat out bad. You know, saying, and I quote, Jade Cargill does not deserve this. And it was trending. People saying she's not ready, her selling's not there, she looks lost half the time, and honestly, I can't even argue it after this match. Look, I don't want to completely bury Jade. She has a look, a presence, and legit star power. But you can't just slap a crown on someone and expect the fans to eat it up when the in-ring work ain't there. That's not how it works. You've got women like Asuka who've literally bled for this business, and she's being used as a stepping stone in a match that didn't even crack 10 fucking minutes. Get the hell out of here. Yeah, this sets up a title match at SummerSlam, maybe against Tiffany Stratton. Maybe Naomi cashes in. I don't care. This wasn't the way to do it. And don't even get me started on the post-match promo from Jade. That was like, creative saying, see, she's humble, she's trying. That promo might have won a few people back, but not me. Not after that match. Final verdict, 2 out of 5. Rushed, predictable, a waste of Asuka, and it honestly hurt Jade more than it helped her. Queen of the Reign, more like queen of the missed opportunity. All right, our main event, John Cena versus CM Punk for the undisputed WWE Championship. Now, before I even start breaking this one down, let me just say, I wanted this to be a classic. I really did. This is Cena and Punk. We're talking about one of the most iconic rivalries of the past 15 years. This was a main event that wrote itself. 2 legends, 1 title, and history behind it. And for a while, it was a classic. The opening was deliberate, methodical. You could feel the tension. Both guys looked sharp, felt the crowd, paced it like pros. Cena hit the 5-knuckle shuffle. Punk fired back with the Anaconda Vice and connected with the GTS. We even saw some mat wrestling. And listen, the crowd in Riyadh was hot, singing Punk's theme, living and breathing with every near fall. Then the train went off the rails. Enter chaos. Seth Rollins shows up with the Money in the Bank briefcase like a kid who lost track of what sport he was playing. Then here comes Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and then Penta and Sami Zayn. What the hell were we doing? This wasn't a wrestling match anymore. It was WWE 2K25 GM mode gone wrong. And then you've got Cena, this new twisted, self-righteous heel version, absolutely annihilating poor Charles Robinson. The guy runs down to ref the rest of the match, and Cena just folds him like a lawn chair. I mean, that hit looked like an NFL linebacker decapitating a high school freshman quarterback. Someone check on Lil Nate. Come on, man. Man, I feel bad. I really feel bad for him. But eventually, Rollins again gets involved, curb stomps Punk, throws in the briefcase shot, and Cena picks up the scraps, tosses Seth, pins Punk, and retains the title. Look, I get it. They wanted to protect Punk in the loss. They wanted to remind us that Cena's a manipulative prick now. They wanted to keep the Rollins and Punk beef hot, but come on. This was just too much. This should have been a 5-star war. 2 legends, toe-to-toe, clean or at least semi-clean. But instead we got a messy, overbooked car crash that left a lot of fans, including me, frustrated. Cena wins, sure, but they should have had Cena and Punk just go out there and kill it. Punk losing like this, I don't hate it. He's still protected, he's still over, still in the mix, but if this was meant to heat up Cena's heel act, I think it did the opposite. It's just more of the same. Cena retains with outside help, controversy, and now he's going on a 3-week break. Final verdict, 3.5 out of 5. It could have been magic. Instead, it was a solid match that collapsed under the weight of too much interference. A match that should have made headlines, but the action is now remembered for the run-ins. Still, I'll take this over a half-hearted main event any day. But they should have just let Cena and Punk cook. No Rollins, no chaos, just the wrestling. That's what we're here for. Let's recap my match ratings. The ratings are out of 5. Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton, a 3 out of 5. Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez, a 4 out of 5. Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross, a 3 out of 5. Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa, 2.5 out of 5. Jade Cargill versus Asuka, a 2 out of 5. And then John Cena versus CM Punk, a 3.5 out of 5. My average match score is a 3 out of 5, which translates to an overall rating of a 6 out of 10. And then as far as my predictions go, I went 5 for 6, which gives me an 83% prediction accuracy, which is pretty good. The only match I got wrong was Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. I predicted that Jacob would retain by disqualification, but I did not expect them to take the title off of him completely. But yeah, so 83% accuracy. So all in all, Night of Champions gets a 6 out of 10 from me. Not a bad show by any stretch. Some good storytelling, but also a handful of frustrating finishes and missed opportunities. Match of the night, easy. Rhea versus Raquel. Worst, gotta give it to Jade versus Asuka. That one fell flat hard. Still, I went 5 for 6 on predictions, so I'll take the W where I can. And now onward to Evolution and SummerSlam. So let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments. This podcast is on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. And I'll be back soon with more wrestling talk. So enjoy wrestling and stay focused.